Assalamu alaikum, my name is Adil Asif. This time I'm going to make a video on Hard Times by Charles Dickens. It's a detailed video in which I will summarize the whole novel in detail. Let's start. Facts are not important according to Thomas Grangreen, but Sissy was opposite to Grangreen's point of view. That's why Grangreen was not in favor of feelings, emotions, and imagination. Loisa and Tom were not much conscious about outward world. They used to live in their home most of the time under the supervision of Grangreen. Stephen was not happy with his married life and wanted to get rid of it. He wanted to marry Rachel, who also worked with him in Mr. Bounderby's factory. James Harthouse got interested in Loisa. He started to flirt with her. Labourers of Mr. Bounderby made a union of labourers against Mr. Bounderby. Mr. Bounderby fired him, Stephen, when Stephen refused to tell him about union's plan. On the other side, Loisa helped Stephen by giving him some money to find new job. Tom asked Stephen to meet him at bank. Stephen was blamed of bank robbery at that time. One day, Mr. Bounderby went to another town or city for business dealing and Loisa was alone in the house. Meanwhile, Harthouse came there and he showed his entire feelings before her. Harthouse asked Loisa for elopement, but she asked him to go from her house and she will meet him later. They met in a forest and Sparsit followed them. Sparsit was listening their conversation in the forest. Suddenly both were disappeared from the eyes of Miss Sparsit. Sparsit decided to tell all about the elopement of Loisa to Mr. Bounderby, but Loisa went to her father's home and she told him about the hard and crucial life with Mr. Bounderby and she is not leading a happy life. Even she told her father about the concept of fact, that facts are not only important to lead a happy life, but emotions are also important. Grangreen identified his mistake regarding fact idea and marriage of Mr. Bounderby and Loisa. Sissy advised Harthouse to leave the city, whereas Miss Swassett went to Mr. Bounderby home and she told him that Loisa has gone with Harthouse. Mr. Bounderby went to Grangreen's house in wrath and told him about Loisa and Harthouse, but Grangreen told him that it's not true and she will not live with him anymore. Mr. Bounderby left the city or left the home when in wrath. Before dying, Stephen told Mr. Bounderby that he is innocent and the main culprit is Tom for bank robbery. Sissy decided to save Tom. She asked Tom to change his appearance in her father's circus. Meanwhile, Loisa and Grangreen were also worried about Tom. They were thinking to send him out of the country, but Bitzer was not in favor of this decision. He decided to inform the police. Mr. Grangreen asked Bitzer that he hasn't he any feelings and emotions for his teacher. At that time, Bitzer told Grangreen that Grangreen himself has taught him about the facts that there is no place for feelings and emotions. An old man from the same circus, he sent Tom out of the city successfully. Sparsit came with an old lady by saying that might be possible that this old lady helped Tom in bank robbery, but Mr. Bounderby became worse to Miss Sparsit because that old lady was Mr. Bounderby's mother. He asked Sparsit to leave the house. At the end of the novel, we see that Mr. Grangreen realized that only facts are not important, but feelings and emotions are also mandatory and important. At the end, Loisa didn't marry anyone again. Stephen was clear that he was not the man who robbed the bank. Tom was far away from the family and living life in another place. Last but not the least, don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you in advance. I hope that you got the concept of whole summary. If you have any confusion, any question regarding this summary, you may comment in the comment section. See you in the next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz.